Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.
And a beautiful morning it is. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the hottest spot in town. You stepped into Sunshine's Corner. Wow, and it is Monday, and what a week do we have ahead of us. Are you ready? I certainly am. But first of all, I want to start off on a note that we got the news later last night that the great, the wonderful, the marvelous Quincy Delight Jones Jr., he transitioned. He was 91 years old. And I'm going to say this. I know that Quincy has already voted. I know he did that already. Okay, so his vote will count. But listen, one that that opened so many doors for all of our musicians. Think about that. Back in the day when you heard the Temptations, when you heard Smokey Robinson, when you heard Diana Ross and the Supremes, when you heard Mary Wells, all of those names and so many more, it was because of Quincy Jones. He opened that door. And that was a long, long, long time ago. Now this man, I say, when I read this, over 70 years in the industry, 70 years. Now that's a long time. And then the fact, he transitioned, but I feel he knew in his heart that he's a part of history again with what's coming up with the election on tomorrow. I really believe that. And I'm sure he's rested in peace and his spirit is at rest because he knows there's a new day on the horizon that we will get to experience. And let's talk about that experience. Today, I have in the studio with me, oh my God, does she have history? Does she have some things to share with us today? She's been working with the Harris campaign. She's a volunteer that's here in the city that's working. And I had to have Miss Marian, Bennett. She's here with us today. And I tell you, she's got some things to talk about that's going to share us. Because I've been reading up on all the things that you've gone through, the things that you have dealt with. And when you told me this morning that you have been on this campaign for how many years, all your life working with this, I think that deserves a great big round of applause within itself. And you are such a beautiful lady.
Oh, we thank you so much.
You are so much.
You're going to bring tears to my eyes.
No, I'm just telling, everybody knows I just call a spade a spade. And I tell the truth and I hold it there, that truth-wise, and that you are.
Oh,
and when I was looking at all the things that you have done, all the way back to 1960.
Yes, well, I think it starts with my family.
Right.
I grew up in an activist family.
Right.
My father graduated from the University of Chicago Law School in 1950.
Okay.
He was an older student. He was 36.
Okay.
I was 6 years old. I went to his graduation. I still remember being bored and asking my my aunt, where is his name on the program?
Oh, how cute.
Because it was so boring. But he wanted to work in a law firm. And when he interviewed with law firms in Chicago,
right.
Oh, Mr. Bennett, you have such a wonderful record, and we would very much like to consider you, but we're not sure our clients are ready for a Negro attorney.
Get out of here.
Chicago.
Wow.
Chicago, 1950, no legacy of chattel slavery.
Right.
The plantations, what we call plantations that were death work camps, of course. And he was determined to work for a firm.
Absolutely.
A firm from Minneapolis came down to interview, and they wanted to consider a Negro attorney. He had been to Minneapolis at least once before when he was working for the American Council on Race Relations or something.
I understand totally.
And he had met Hubert Humphrey.
Oh,
when
really?
Hubert Humphrey was mayor. So my dad commuted from Chicago to Minneapolis for a year. He'd go up Sunday night, come back Thursday, either drive or take the train. And after a year, we all moved up there.
Oh, right. And that put something in you, and you're following in the footsteps that he started.
Well, because he was a lawyer,
right.
You know, I know that influenced me to become an attorney as well. And he was very active in the NAACP, the Urban League, et cetera, et cetera. I saw all that, and I liked it. I remember going to the Capitol, the state Capitol in St. Paul, when they were passing the fair open housing legislation for the state of Minnesota, and he'd help draft some of that language. And I was there in the state capitol when they voted on it. That's one of my earliest memories. He was always active in campaigns, so I was always active in campaigns too.
Absolutely. And you shared that earlier with me, that you've been doing this for so long. And I know on one of the articles that you sent me, you even fought, and you went to jail.
Not just jail, it was Independence Day, July 4th. in 1965. I was in Charleston, South Carolina. My father's family is from Charleston.
Right.
I was working on voter registration campaign with the NAACP. It was, you know, the 60s, 1965. I was in college. I wanted to do something in the movement. I had an opportunity to go to Selma that year. But Selma in 1965 was not where I wanted to be.
Right.
You know, I valued my life. That was the march. That was...
Yes, it was.
So I also had an opportunity to go to Charleston, and I thought, perfect. I'll live with my grandmother. I got a job with Head Start. It was the first summer for Head Start program. So I worked, so I could have some money too. I wouldn't have to rely on family. I worked in the Head Start program in the morning as an assistant teacher, and then I did the voter registration work with the NAACP. So you know how you are when you're in college. You think you've got it all worked out.
Yes.
So I knew I was going to be safe. I was able to work in the movement, to do my thing, but you know, I was going to be safe. So come the 4th of July, the group of us, and students had come from all over the country, California, New York, local students working with us as well. We said, you know, we haven't been to the beach. We haven't been to the beach. Here we are in Charleston, surrounded by water.
Absolutely.
Now, the NAACP had told us, don't get arrested this summer.
Don't get arrested.
Just don't get arrested. Whatever you do, we don't have bail bond money. We've spent it all on the previous summers.
Right.
I didn't want to get arrested. That's why I went to Charleston, where I could be safe and do my work. And none of us wanted to get arrested.
Exactly, of course not.
And with no bail bond money, who knows
no bail bonds, why would I get arrested, okay?
So the parks and the beaches, are you ready for this?
Yeah,
had been closed to avoid integration. All the parks, all the beaches in the state of South Carolina had been closed to avoid integration. Now, of course, South Carolina is one of your more segregated states.
Right.
And in the 50s, the NAACP had started suing the state for admission to the beaches and the parks.
Oh my!
I mean, they'd always been separate.
Right.
Always been segregated, and they sued for access. And Edisto Beach had been built for whites in the 30s, and you know who the workers were.
Absolutely.
So they sued to get into Edisto Beach, and when it became apparent that they were going to lose that case, they closed. They closed Edisto, and then a couple of years later they closed all the parks and beaches. It's like, you know, how draconian, how mean-spirited. I mean, so anyway, so we knew the parks and beaches were closed. We knew we should not get arrested. We were not going to get arrested, but we thought we would find a secluded spot where we could have our picnic. I mean, you know, the beaches are big.
That's right.
So we didn't go to the near-in beach in Charleston, where there had been violence when blacks had tried to go. We went to Edisto Beach, which is 40 miles south and east of Charleston.
Right.
So here we were in 3 cars, young kids, Negroes and whites, as we were described in the newspapers, driving 40 miles down to a beach. Now, you know, how foolish was that to be a mixed group in 1965 in Charleston?
Right.
Not smart. So, of course, by the time we got there, everyone knew we were coming. We got out of our cars, we went to the beach, we saw the no trespassing signs in the state park, and we had decided that if we were asked to leave, we would leave.
Just leave, right.
Because we did not want to get arrested. So if you've ever had Latin and studied Caesar's Gallic Wars, and you know he had to cross the Rubicon, and once he crossed the Rubicon, he wrote, you know, there was no crossing back. So I remember standing looking at those signs and saying to myself, if we cross, this is like crossing the Rubicon. I hated Latin, by the way, but I remembered the Rubicon. So we had 2 law students in our group, first-year law students. Don't ever take advice from first-year law students. They explained that trespass law required that you first be informed you are trespassing. You might not know. There might not be a sign. There might not be any indication. And then you have to be given an opportunity to leave. No problem. We'd leave. So we crossed over.
You thought that was going to happen.
We thought it was going to happen. We put our picnic blankets down. Some of the kids went in the water. No sooner, these two state troopers come marching up the beach with bullhorns. "You's all under arrest." I was like, wait. This is not right.
That's right.
Before we crossed over, we looked onto the beach. Guess what? Some European Americans were on the beach. The concession stand was doing a grand business. That kind of tempered our attitude about,
of course. Exactly.
Closed.
Right.
Closed to everyone
to everybody
except.
else but.
So, and it wasn't a large group of whites on the beach, but they were on the beach.
But they were there.
So these two state troopers came marching up, and I had never seen a redneck before, and one of them actually had a red neck, and I thought, oh, that's what that means.
You thought that's what that meant.
That's what that I was very naive. I had led a sheltered life, let me tell you. So the two law students, of course, tried to explain trespass law to these.
But that did not work.
Yeah, that wasn't flying.
They were determined.
So they started, to write us up. And it was a beautiful Sunday. And Edisto Beach is a beautiful beach. And I remember thinking, why can't we all enjoy this?
I agree. And you know what you're saying this? And that was back in 1965. And this is 2024. And we're still dealing with it.
We're still dealing, with attempts to privatize beaches.
Exactly.
Right here.
I mean, and it's everywhere you go. But my thought with the fact that you, back then, and then to see this now, and I'm going to bring this up to the election. And as we see with it, I'm going to be as transparent as I know how. With all of the white supremacy that we see that's really coming out, how is it that, how you feel with that happened way back then, and now you're still fighting that same fight?
I'm very discouraged. I am discouraged. I mean, my kids, especially my daughter, tells me I've been naive to think that the passage of laws was going to solve the issue. But I really did think the Voting Rights Act of August 6, 1965 was going to settle those issues. I didn't think they'd be closing the polls on Sunday to keep blacks from going in large groups to register, or that it was now illegal to give water out on a voting line. I mean, it's so disheartening. I can't tell you. I can
imagine. And as I was listening to you, and in I was seeing a vision of what the things that I see that's going on now. We want to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a break. But I want to talk about the way that you feel and what you see compared to what it was back then and how it is now.
Okay.
I tell you, everybody, make sure, tell somebody if you want to be a part of this conversation, because I look at this is history sitting right here with me. This is history right here with me. And as she was saying some of the things, I want to also make this known to all of the younger people. Get your education. Did you hear what she was talking about when she was just a young girl, how she started, how important that is? Get your education as we continue with Miss Bennett, who is living history, sitting right here with us today as we continue on Sunshine's Corner.
My father was from Mexico. He had me in this country. My mother, her side of the family was a combination of German, Russian, Polish, typical American story. Because of their, wanting to come to this country for a better life, one of the biggest parts of that was having a vote. I live in this country. One of my most important rights is the right to cast a vote. You're an American citizen. You have the right to vote. Take advantage of that right. Affect change around you that you want to see. My name's Eduardo Lara, and I am strongly encouraging you to just vote.
Good day, Pensacola. Welcome to a new segment on health and wellness sponsored by Baptist Healthcare in partnership with Sunshine's Corner. Every first Wednesday of the month during Sunshine's telecast, we're going to be bringing you information about health and wellness and ways to make sure we're improving the quality of your health care here in Pensacola. After all, we want to ensure that you're going to the right place at the right time and for the right reason, and that you don't feel alone. Can't wait to see you.
When I saw the tumor on the MRI, my first thought was, am I going to be able to see my daughter again? The doctors knew if I did not end my pregnancy, I would lose my baby, I would lose my life, and my daughter would lose her mom. Florida has now banned abortion, even in cases like mine. Amendment 4 is going to protect women like me. We have to vote yes.
I'm Emily Echeverria, Marketing Communications Director for Council on Aging of West Florida and the host of Coming of Age. Watch our show to find out what we're doing for our seniors and their families, and hear from area experts and local business owners about their programs and services. Want to help? Find out how you can work with us to bring a better future to our seniors. Watch Coming of Age, 3:30 p.m. Wednesdays, only on Blab TV.
And welcome back to Sunshine's Corner, this Monday edition. You know, this is an important week. Now, don't think that every Monday is not important. But I say that because what we've got happening tomorrow. And I just want to make sure, you know, early voting ended on this past weekend.
Saturday.
Saturday was the last day. But I just want you to realize, ladies and gentlemen, the polls are going to be open tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I don't care what it takes, how long you need to stand. If you did not already get your mail-ins or whatever, if you're waiting for tomorrow. I was listening to a gentleman last night on this little clip I was watching. He says he always waits until the day of because it's the feeling that he gets by walking in and casting his vote. So I say to you guys, don't let anything hold you back. If you need a ride, we got numbers I'll be sharing with you that you can get a ride to the poll. So there's nothing that's going to stop you. Grab a friend, get a load in your car. You know, if you have to leave work, that they are by law, you get an hour to go, that you can still go out to vote and still get paid. So don't let anything stop you from that. But I want to go back now to Ms. Bennett, who's with us today, because...
Can I just stop you for a second?
Did I say Bennett?
No, I just want to remind people, too, that the privilege of voting has been so hard fought.
Yes.
People have died just trying to register.
Yes.
People have died
yes.
trying to vote.
Yes.
So this is a sacred privilege.
Yes.
And don't waste it. Please vote.
Please vote. Because as I sit here, and each time I look at her beautiful face, and then she's telling these, I mean, the things that she's experienced, this is not something somebody told her. This is something, if you don't learn anything from anything else, just listen today. Because there's history here. And the fact of it is that what's so bothersome to me is that we're still dealing with the same thing. You try to suppress the fact that all those who fought and died so that we can vote, you don't want me to vote, to exercise my right. And I think that is absolutely...
And it also tells you how important it is.
Exactly.
If they are working
so
hard to keep some people from voting, whoa, this must be very special.
Absolutely.
Very special.
Absolutely.
But I'm encouraged by the enthusiasm that I've experienced working in the campaign office.
Right.
And the vibrancy that we feel, the energy, and I've been here since 2018.
Okay.
I've never felt that before.
And you know, when you speak on that, even with, it comes through when I was watching her. It comes through the screen. I mean, when you're watching it on TV, there's such a, I brought this up several times on my show, the fact that I can feel the difference, even just coming through at her, when she's campaigning. I can feel the difference. It's so much positivity. There's so much hope.
There's so much joy.
Joy.
I mean, that beautiful smile.
Yes.
That beautiful smile. And she can say some sharp things.
Yes, she can.
And then she smiles. That's like...
I know she said one thing. I said, oh my God, work it, girl. No, but she is so smart. But I think the American people, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, some may want to do it silently. But the fact of it is, I do believe that the American people are tired of all the rhetoric.
I think they're hungry for an alternative to Mr. Trump.
Exactly. Instead of all of this, and what just breaks me, tears me, there's nothing comes out of your mouth that's positive. Nothing. And it's all I.
Well, that's what I heard her say about him. Now, I don't listen to him because I don't. That does not make me happy. So I don't do it. But it's all about him.
That's right.
And it's not about him.
No.
It's not even all about her.
Exactly.
It's about this country and where we're going from here.
I agree. And it's so pleasing. And I understand. There's a commercial I often speak of that this gentleman is on. He said, I voted for him, and he said, I'm a Republican. He said, but I can't do it anymore. We've got to move forward.
Well, we've heard several people say that.
Okay. And that's
work.
a good thing. I think that we're ready for a change. And I don't understand. I said, okay, God is trying to show us something. I said, God, what is it you're talking to us? Because I'm a strong believer. I said, I believe he allows things to let us see things that we thought maybe was one way. He said, let me bring this back up. Let me teach you something, because that's not what you're thinking. I think that because that back up to let us see what the American people, some of them were really thinking, that was covered up. But with this way, you feel so okay to let it out. I think he wanted us to see that, because we had gotten relaxed and thinking that it was better than it is when it really wasn't.
I think you're absolutely right.
And I honestly believe he had to allow us to see, and some of the things that we thought we had overcome had only been covered up to make us feel that way. Because you said something also about the importance. There has to be something that's so important to try to stop us from having that right that's given to us all. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you understand what we're trying to convey today. That love, peace, joy, equality is due us all.
Every one of us.
Every one of us.
Yes. And also consider how important the voting role is in your community.
Yes.
Often people selected to serve on juries are chosen from registration and voting rolls. Voter rolls. So it's so important. It impacts our lives in so many ways.
Absolutely. And tomorrow is going to be a day that's going to go down in history.
It will.
It will go down in history. And what we're trying to we're talking about things that are happening. We're not sitting here, painting a picture that's not there. We're talking about things, and what I'm so grateful for is the fact that God has allowed me to have a person that has walked through so much, that's coming through to share it with you, to see the importance of your voice being heard.
It's very important. It's very important. When we were doing the voter registration work in 1965,
right,
some of the people we talked to, we were working with African Americans.
Of course.
They said, I'm afraid to register to vote. I'm afraid of physical violence. I'm afraid of losing my job. I'm afraid of my mortgage being called, losing my home. I'm afraid. Now, this is 1965. It's not ancient history.
Exactly.
And these were grown people saying they were afraid to be a full-fledged citizen in their own country.
Do you think some people feel that way now?
I think so. I think so. Unfortunately. I will say, everything isn't all dark. And in 2008, in the primary season, when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were on the rolls in South Carolina, I realized that the people we had helped register, or their children or grandchildren, had an opportunity in 2008 to vote for a man of color and a woman. It sent chills down my spine every time I thought about it.
Thank you.
It's just when, from 1965 to 2008.
Exactly.
So and that was a large step. And that, well, we still have work to do, clearly.
Yes, we do. We
still have a lot of work to do.
And,
absolutely.
And the hatred now that's being shown,
it's not good.
Not good at all.
It's not good.
And just here a few weeks ago, there was a young man, 18 years old, with a machete. Come on. What are we thinking?
Well, a couple of things to remember. We've always been a violent country.
Right. Yeah.
And when I hear people moaning and groaning about, oh, the threat to democracy, for people of color, we have never been afforded the full benefits of whatever this democracy is.
Absolutely.
I'm not quite sure we are clear about our definition of democracy.
Right.
But we haven't been afforded all those benefits.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So this is not new.
That's right.
It's not new, but I think more people are seeing the threat to them.
That is affect them in just more ways than one.
Right.
And you see, and this is the way I always put it out, what I've been talking here for the last several weeks is, what are you voting for? Are you voting for democracy or dictatorship? Is it democracy you want, or do you want dictatorship? Because that is plain to see. And I'll say this, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling. I'm just going to tell the truth. He has an issue with people of color. I don't understand why. And I think we, especially here on the Gulf Coast where we are, do not allow anybody, we're not going to even get the inkling of the idea to go back. We're moving forward. And the way we do that, and I say this to you every single day, we often say, oh, my vote, I hear people, oh, I'm going to go this way, or my vote doesn't matter. That's wrong. You've got the power to put them in and take them out. But how do you speak the loudest? Voting.
Voting. Voting.
Voting.
Yes.
That's how you speak the loudest. If you want to help make change, vote. It's something that one of our former presidents said, change is necessary. It may not feel good, but it's necessary. That's President Barack Obama. He said that.
I retired from the federal government. I retired from TSA.
Right.
And when I was working in the office in actually Pentagon City, right outside of D.C., and we were in two buildings, a little courtyard in between. So I was walking from one building to the next, and this a woman of color started walking with me.
Right.
And she said, "Are you a Fed or a contractor?" And I said, "No, I'm a federal employee." And I said, "And are you?" And she said, "Well, I'm a contractor. They were supposed to make us, but they didn't." And then she just started fussy. I don't know what it was. It was providential. I turned to her and I said, "Do you vote?" Something told me to ask her.
Just ask that question.
Well, when I was in Baltimore, I said, "I'm not having this discussion."
That's right.
And I walked away. I should not have walked away. I should have stayed and talked to her, but I was so irritated that she would start to complain about the government and her status and this and that.
And not doing anything.
And not vote.
And not vote. That's the way you make the change. Wow.
Yeah.
We are talking with Ms. Bennett here today. I mean, and I tell you, I am so intrigued with this conversation. I could talk to you for days because it is absolutely amazing. We're talking on things that she's experienced, not what somebody said. She's talking about things that have happened to her. We're going to talk more with her today. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Be a part of the conversation now. 850-432-7768 right here on Sunshine's Corner.
You finally found the perfect car in racing blue. You even got them to throw in the LED fog lights for free. Auto Owners insures your car because some people never learn to parallel park. That's simple human sense.
Ask the Messick Insurance Agency in Pensacola if Auto Owners make sense for you.
Keep going, more. No, stop!
I remember the doctor handing me a baby boy that was blue, and I just held him because he was so cold. Due to the abortion ban, I was being forced to carry the baby from 23 weeks all the way to 37 weeks. And knowing that my son was going to die.
Having to watch your wife be in pain and continue to tell her to keep going, that everything's gonna be okay, knowing it's not. That was the hardest thing
government had no right to do that to my family. This ban is torture.
You're not going to vote. Seriously? Do you want your rights taken away? Seriously? You say that you're not going to vote, but you do? Well, think about it. If you don't, you've already lost them. Let me tell you something. If you do not vote, then you're giving up your rights. Think about it. I just need you to just vote. And welcome back to this Monday edition of Sunshine's Corner. I'm having such a fantastic conversation today with a lady that has just done so much, and she's just educated me on things, and I'm getting the real story. And I said this before we left, that this is not something somebody said. This is something that she lived through, and then talking now in 2024, what we're yet dealing with. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, Miss Bennett, I mean, you're holding something in your lap right there. I want to share with everybody so they can see. Look at that, the truth we hold. And oh, look at that book.
The truths, plural.
That's the truth. That's not one truth. That's a whole lot of them.
A whole lot of them. A whole lot of them. I highly recommend this book. It was published in 2019. And she describes her growing up, so you learn about her family,
right?
Her educational background, and then her political life. It's absolutely fascinating. I didn't know much about her before the book.
And I'm going to get that book.
Get it.
Everybody, you need to get this. Is a good read. We need to get this book, okay? That is Kamala Harris, and it said the truth. We hold. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody's on the phone. Let's see who's going to. My phone. I knew there was something looking funny about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Sunshine. Good morning, Miss Betty.
Miss Bennett. It's Miss Bennett.
I wonder, Miss Jenny.
Bennett. B-E-N-N-E-T-T.
Oh, Bennett. Oh, Miss Bennett. Sorry about that. I just want to say I'm enjoying her travel back through time through her experiences and sharing her experiences, and just want everybody to know, come on, keep on going through. We're almost at the finish line, and this is a race that we got to continue to win.
Absolutely. Have you voted already?
Yes, voted early.
Yeah.
It's always some kind of issue may come up if you wait too late.
You're right, but I think we got it ready for
So I love to get out there early and make sure that mine is complete and done.
Absolutely. Thank you for always being a loyal viewer.
Oh, definitely so. I mean, this is the hottest place on the Gulf Coast, so we cannot miss it.
Thank you, love. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And I tell you, it's just the inspiration that we all need today. And when we talk about the election that's coming up on tomorrow, I have, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that is causing, sleepless nights. You're tossing your turn. It's always on your mind because of the fact that, I'll say like you, Miss Bennett, I hear the stories that you share, that you've been through. And I have not been through some things to the depth, but there are some things I have had to deal with because of my complexion. Some things that I've had to deal with that when I didn't think I would have had to. And I'm talking recent.
And because of your gender.
And because of my gender. And it is some things that I never thought that I would have to, but it is there. And and I'm a verbal woman, because I believe if I can't stand fight for me, nobody else is going to do it for me. I say what I see. This is my slang. I call a spade a spade. And the things, and I say that to say that what I've had to deal with are the things that I dealt with in the last 5 or 6 years. If I told the story, people wouldn't believe it. But you see, you've got to have the unction or the truth that's within you, because I've called a few things out to people that I know what they did, but they run from it, but they won't talk about it. And I have really called people to say, look, I know, be man enough to talk to me. I'm woman enough to bring it out. And it's, why do we have to go through that? And I believe when you say that with the white supremacy, how it's going on now that we see, there is a thing they're called I think they want to take us back because of the fact of how we have grown. We're not really as much the minority as it once was.
Couple of things. Remember in one of her first rallies, Vice President Harris was talking about how Mr. Trump had backed out of a debate. And she said, but they're saying a lot of things about me. She said, and you know, as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Say it to my face.
Say it to my face, which I love. I have never heard that. I've been saying it.
Say it to my face.
Say it to my face.
Right. I mean,
and a lot of this is about control. We were talking about it in the office yesterday. You know, wanting to control a woman's choice of what to do with her own body is pretty astonishing. And also the attacks on public school education.
Oh my God, yes.
And trying to ban some books. I mean, who heard of banning books in America?
Right.
Incredible. And in one county, it was even the Bible that had to get banned because there are a lot of raunchy things in the Bible. So it's a lot about control, because women come into the office and say, we are not going back.
We're not going back.
We are not going back.
And we got another call. And we are not going back. Good morning.
Good morning, Sunshine.
Good morning, Mr. Sylvester Kingdom Walker.
I would like to suggest two readings. The book that Miss Bennett, first of all, supernatural blessings on your efforts, Miss Bennett, to be the flame that lights up the darkness in our people, because you walk that walk. My family is from Philadelphia, Mississippi. In 1964, Goodman, Cheney, and Swerner were murdered there by the sheriff and the deputies, trying to get people to vote. And whenever I go up there, you know, my grandfather, I was blessed to take him to vote. He was 82 years old, and I took him to Kemper County, to the federal building, the courthouse there, and he voted for the first time, because they would always ask him either constitutional questions, how many jelly beans was in a jar, or how many bubbles was in a bar soap. And the book is called The Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. They need to see that, and if at all possible, look at the movie Mississippi Burning. I wrote this in my journal. Sunshine, if I may. Today is November the 4th, 2024. One way or another, tomorrow will be the new beginning of America's reconstruction or deconstruction of its body. And remember, it was presidentially referred to as, we must fight the battle for the very soul of America. So vote and remove all, because tomorrow is going to be America's awakening.
Yes.
It's time for America to truly strive, Sunshine, and finally become the United States. Before we get forced to depend on each other, and after being taught to hate and distrust and dislike one another for so long, it's going to be a long road to hoe. You know, but with the Lord, he said, those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. He also said, I will never fail y'all, and I will never abandon y'all. Never, America. Let's get on board the soul train. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Kingdom Walker. You have a wonderful day. I tell you, we're on the soul train, okay? I like that. But he was speaking of so many things that is so true. He made so many points, and that we as the American people got to realize, people in this country. And I say to the people here on the Gulf Coast, we have got to learn how to stick together. We have got to learn how to speak truth. I think there's a fear of the repercussions.
We have to learn also how not to be afraid.
That's the word I'm going to. We got to stop being so afraid to tell the truth. Stop being that yes person. Yes, it's not good for everything.
Or afraid of irritating someone or making someone upset.
Yes.
So what?
So what? I mean, this election, like he said, I love that when he used that tomorrow is going to be a determining factor.
And he's absolutely right.
He's absolutely right. And we've got to get up and do our part. This is what we have got to exercise our right to do the right thing. And I'm not just talking to the black community. I'm talking to red, yellow, black, white, or brown. I don't care who you are. your right to vote, and don't try to suppress another who has the same right. Don't try to hold back the other who has the same right. You have the right to stand up for what you want, and so do I. So don't try to hold me back because I may not think the way that you think. If I see where I know it needs to be positive, I see where it needs to be love and not hate, I'm going to do the right thing. But don't try to hold me back. And you said something that was really powerful. It's got to be something that you want to hold me back because of the fact of what we got to do. Because you know in your heart of hearts, some of this stuff is not right. And it's got to change. We're living in America. I keep hearing this song, living in America. But come on, you know what I'm saying? But the fact of it is so sad, Ms. Bennett, that we're having this conversation in 2024 when we should be out just supporting whoever it is that the American people chooses.
With no problem.
But no problems whatsoever.
But the fact that we are fighting attempts to purge voting polls.
Oh God, I've heard that so much.
It's like, what's going on here?
Absolutely.
What is going on here?
And we've got to get over that and stop. We don't want to go back to like it was in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
No.
We don't want to go back to that.
No.
And we've got to stand now to take authority. And you do that by what?
You vote.
You exercise your right to vote.
You vote and you participate in the civic life of your community.
Exactly.
You go to City Hall. You go to the council meetings. You speak up. You say what you disagree with and what you want to see. Be bold.
Be bold and do
it. Be
it.
bold and do it.
That's right. I mean, that is you've got the right to speak.
Thank you.
To say what is right and what's wrong. To stand up. They are. So what's the difference? Ladies and gentlemen, it is so utterly important. The conversations that we have been having for several weeks now, it's only to more than several weeks, months, to try to encourage the people to do just what we're talking about, to go out and do what's right. And I've heard so many things, even coming from some people in my community. Well, I don't think I want to do this because she's talking about abortions. Please.
If you don't believe in abortions, don't have one.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you. We're going to go to that too. I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about. I tell you, it's been like I talk to you all day. Look, stay close now, please. If you would like to conversate with us, do as the other callers are doing. 850-432-7768. Or if you'd like to text, 850-432-7768. We will reply to your comments right here on Sunshine's Corner.
As we come upon this election, it's important for everybody to get out and vote. It is critical. Voting is the cornerstone of our democracy. It lends a voice to everyone, to the people, to make sure that America is the society that we want it to be, that everybody wants it to be. If you don't get out and vote, you really don't have anything to complain about. My name is Troy Rafferty, and I want to encourage everybody to just vote.
Gilmarine, your one-stop shop for all your boating needs. We offer a vast selection of parts, accessories, and electronics. Discover our range of used boats in every size, shape, and brand, all ready to get you on the water today. And we provide expert advice and top-notch customer service to ensure you have the best boating experience. We service all outboard, inboards, stern drives, jet drives, and personal watercraft. Our certified staff will get you back on the water. Visit Gilmarine at 3541 West Fairfield Drive, Pensacola.
Florida's near-total abortion ban outlaws abortion before many women even realize they're pregnant. The ban means many survivors of rape, incest, and human trafficking will be forced to carry their attacker's child against their will. The ban forces doctors to delay critical medical care until their patient is on the brink of death or face felony charges. This ban puts the health, lives, and futures of women in our state at risk. Get the truth about Florida's near-total abortion ban.
Get your tickets now to EntreCon 2024. You'll learn how to turn your dreams of starting a business into a reality. Current business owners will learn the secrets to making your business more successful. With 31 speakers, you'll have access to a diverse range of experts, actionable strategies, and dynamic networking to help you with your path to greatness. EntreCon 2024 is November 13th and 14th at 3 locations in downtown Pensacola. Get your tickets at EntreConPensacola.com. That's EntreConPensacola.com.
And welcome back. You know, I tell you every single day when we're having a great conversation, that clock seems to tick so fast when I can just go on and on and on, just like the Energizer Bunny. I can keep going because we're talking with Miss Bennett today, who I admire from just reading over the weekend the things that were the clips that you had sent me about you, the things that you have dealt with, that you've gone through, and yet fighting that good fight. And I mean, I just could sit here and have a conversation with you because I mean, there's so much. You could hear people say what I read about, or, well, I heard about this. This is something you experienced.
I did. I think the reason my arrest story people find so compelling, a couple of reasons. One, it was on the 4th of July.
Exactly.
Who goes to jail?
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Independence.
And for being on a beach, for being black on a beach.
Exactly.
What is that about?
Tell me about it.
What is that about?
It's unbelievable.
And we had a trial.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, oh, we had a trial. We were arrested Sunday, spent the night, part of the night in jail, and had our trial on Tuesday. Had to drive back to Edisto for a trial conducted by Judge Seabrook.
Oh.
And we had 3 attorneys. 13 of us were arrested. And we had the leading civil rights attorney at the time, Matthew J. Perry.
Okay.
You might have heard of him.
Yes, I have.
The first black appointed to the district court by Strom Thurmond, nominated by Strom Thurmond years later. He was our lead attorney. And that in and of itself was an experience. We walked, well, this was 65, not all the cars had air conditioning. So we had windows down. We drove off the paved road, county road probably, onto an unpaved dirt road to Judge Seabrook's home, where the trial was going to be conducted. And when I got out, in his home, in his living room. He used to have trials under the tree on his front yard, but there were too many of us, and there was the press, and the arresting officers, etc. I should have sent you the transcript. I'll bring it by.
Play.
And when I got out of the car, I had dust on my eyelashes. You know, we were all dressed up going to court.
Right.
Dust on my eyelashes. And we saw all these cars in the yard. We were afraid that it was the KKK. But when we got inside...
Were there any there?
Yes. No. Well, they were in the area.
Exactly.
But the farmers, the black farmers on his farm, everyone knew about the arrest and the trial. They had come to support us. Oh. So they couldn't get into the living room because there were too many of them, but we saw their faces pressed against the windows. It was precious. It was precious. We walked in, and the first thing he said to us was, now trial hasn't started. Yous all communists from the north come down to break our laws. It's like, oh.
Jesus Christ.
So, okay. And we know how this is going to turn out.
Right.
And in the middle of trial, he gets a phone call, a little TV table next to him. Hello? No, trial ain't over yet. No, I ain't found him guilty yet. It was probably the press or something.
But he answered the phone.
He answered the phone, yeah. It was kind of an informal thing.
Right.
And Matthew Perry first moved for his recusal, first moved for a mistrial, and then his recusal, and he didn't know what recusal meant. And the the state attorneys had to explain to him what it was. And all right, so our lead attorney was Matthew J. Perry. This is 1965. You're too young to remember Perry Mason show.
Really? I watch Perry Mason still now on MT, on Me TV.
So Judge Seabrook kept calling him Perry Mason. And he'd say, Your Honor, my name is Matthew J. Perry. So that was all the way through the trial. All the way through. It was incredible. Needless to say, we were found guilty. And we were out on bail. They did scrounge up enough money to keep us out. And about 2 years later, all the parks and beaches in South Carolina were opened. Ours was one of the last cases. He was ready to take it on appeal as far as it could go. But in October of '65, the case was dismissed. They dropped the charges. There had been so many errors committed by the judge.
So of course.
So they dropped the charges. But there were a series of cases, and ours was one of those cases, even though it didn't go all the way, to helping to open the parks and beaches to everyone in South Carolina.
Oh my, and that's but you see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? This is not what somebody told me. This is somebody who lived through
well, and people in Pensacola must remember. Well, when my grandparents spent their adult life here, my mother grew up here.
Right.
So I've been coming here all my life. As a child, I couldn't go to Pensacola Beach. Blacks were not allowed on Pensacola Beach when I was growing up.
Right.
Beaches weren't integrated until early 70s, 72, I believe. That's why we have Johnson Beach. Johnson Beach, here in Pensacola. Johnson Beach, it was the black beach. And it's a beautiful beach, and that's the beach I grew up on. And when I tell everyone I grew up on this beach, because I couldn't go to Pensacola Beach, because I was black.
In the 70s?
I never went to
Pensacola. Early 70s?
Early 70s. Beaches were integrated. Now, again, it took a lawsuit. You can look it up.
I will.
Yeah. It's awful. You know, it's awful. But I tell people every time I talk to anyone on Johnson Beach, I say, this was my beach, because it was the black beach, and it's named after Rosamond Johnson, the first Pensacolian to die in the Korean War, and happened to be of African American.
That's right.
So, you know,
unbelievable. You know, I'm learning something else, Kingdom Walker.
Well, my grandparents' house was on Gregory Street, across from the A1 Milk Company. I forget the name of it, but there was a milk company at A and Pace.
Really?
And to go get ice cream with my grandfather, if he went, he could walk through the front door because he looked Native American.
Right.
If I went with him, clearly brown, we had to go around the back. I mean, this is, you know, my lifetime and the lifetime of all the people here, all of color in Pensacola, who have lived through this. I mean, I only lived through it when I came to visit my grandparents. But
absolutely.
But you know, we should be telling those stories to our young people, because people are still alive who remember that. Remember growing up in Pensacola and not being able to go to the library until 1952.
Really?
Blacks could not use.
I want some Pensacolians that, I want to have other people on the show that have gone through, or you just call me sometime.
Well, I learned that from Cheryl Howard's organization.
Okay.
The African American Heritage Group. I had a bookmark and it said that, and I read it last night. And I said, oh, I can't believe this. You know, not being able to use a library. Can you imagine? Exactly. And then being criticized for being uneducated. Of course.
But then you can't go to
the library.
But I'm uneducated. But you know, this is what I'm saying. This all reflect back, and this is what we refuse to go back to. Some of these things that are being pointed.
Not going
back to that.
You're not going to tell me I can't read certain books.
Right.
You're not going to do that.
And I believe, and my God, I hate that I feel this way, but that's how. It's still, you can tell by a conversation. A person can be talking to you, but they say, I don't feel this way. But some things come out of their mouth let you know they still feel that way. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
It's something with their actions will say, oh no, I don't, but it's something you will ask me, or it's something you will refer to me that allows me to think, oh really, you don't feel that way, but subconsciously it's coming out. And I experience that a lot. And some things, even with social media, I think people should realize, don't put your life on social media, because you're telling me who you are. And and it bothers me, the things that I see and the things that I've experienced, because I'm one that I think that we should be able to love one another, that we should be able to live in this world that our God created, because it's the same God that's going to look at you, that's going to look at me. And we should be able to live in this world like that, without the hatred, without the downplay, and live like we're supposed to be. Because this election is, I thank God that in my lifetime that I've had the opportunity. Now this will be the second woman that is running for president, and I think this time it's going to be a different story.
And the second time for a person of color.
Person of color. The second time in my lifetime, what I thought. And for me to say that at such a time as it is, I shouldn't have to be going through what I'm feeling today.
You shouldn't have the anxiety over it.
Over it like I am.
We should not, right? Right.
That I'm going to feel that if I were, my passport does not expire until next year, so I got my passport ready because I don't think I would live here if I had to live under those circumstances where you think you're going to take that away from me. No. I shouldn't have to feel that way, Miss Bennett.
You should not.
I should not have to feel that way. I shouldn't have to feel that way because of the hatred or because of someone else that's female and she is of color, that you want to cause the world to really fight and to kill. I hate that with a passion. And I know your job, I mean, what you're doing, that you volunteer every day, and all these years that you put in.
Well, okay, I have to, a little bit of a disclaimer.
Okay.
Again, in '65, we did not intend to get arrested.
Of course not.
We were not, that was not
the
game plan at all. So it's ironic that I got arrested for, not for doing the voter registration work, but for trying to have a picnic.
Exactly.
But people say, oh, you're such a hero. And we were accidental heroes. I just want to emphasize that.
Right.
But you think of how easy it was to get arrested.
Exactly.
Just go on a beach and you end up in the pokey. And on Independence Day, too.
On Independence Day.
So, you know, that is pretty astonishing. And,
Yes,
I've told people the story. Sometimes people say, oh, it just gives them chills. And you think, too, of when you read my transcript, which I will bring by to you, and we were able to hire a court reporter. I think of all the dozens, maybe hundreds of trials held in the South with no court reporter.
Exactly.
And a judge calling the attorney by a strange name.
Of course. Of course. I say that. Can you believe our time is up? I can't believe
it.
It is. It's up. I just want to talk even more. I tell you, Miss Bennett, I thank you for getting up to come down to share your life story with us, okay? I appreciate you. Everybody, if you don't get to watch this show this morning, make sure you tune in this afternoon at 6 o'clock because we're going to play it again. I'm going to play it back at 6 o'clock this afternoon. It's time for us to get out of here. It's been a fantastic day, my dear friends, but I've got to leave you as I do every single day. Never, ever, ever lose your focus. Always remember now, keep God first in whatever you do. I guarantee you're going to be a total success. Make sure you go out and vote tomorrow. Make sure you go out and vote tomorrow. So until then, tomorrow, know that I love you with a perfect kind of love. Keep shining while I'm gone. Thank you, Miss Bennett.
Thank you.
Brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.